Hey people.
Hey, I'm going to start this video out with my face up here in the corner so everybody could get a good look at who they're supposed to be hating. But I don't do this often because I'm afraid it's going to get in the way. I'm going to think that I'm pointing something out and you're not going to see it. But I can see now that's not a problem. It's just little up there in the corner. But the main reason you don't see my face is I have to cut out all the bad habits. And most of the time I don't even get up out of bed. I lay down and read and make these. But this word virgin, they totally got this word turned around. If you go in front of the judge, and he's looking at your file and he says, "Oh, you're habitual," it doesn't mean that you're a virgin. It means you done been that road before, habitual. And so they totally got this word virgin turned around. And actually, virgin doesn't mean what you think it is either. Virgin is a working girl. It's a cheap working girl. This is B-I-R-G is where that come from. All the cities you see that end in Berg, Hattiesburg, yeah, y'all, the Chattisburg. And it means the working. It means the blue collar. And so Virgo was the god of the working, the one that were working for a living. Is where that come from. Virgo was the god of virgin, and virgin never meant what they give it today. Virgin means the working and habitual. And you see every way you turn that, if you're reading with just the marks, it's to have tool. And when you're reading the lower markings, it's then a E-O-B, to have, and then I-T, U-L. And the A-E becomes the E-S, it's the habituals when you're reading the lower markings. And it's just the habitual on the top. And when you're just reading the letters, it's have tool. And it's the woman who's got the tool. And in a biddy have tool, a biddy is not your daughter. A biddy is an old woman, an old hen, one been laying them eggs. The hen biddy have tool, the hen biddy habitual. Wasn't her first trip. And so this is a story of, there's no names in any of this story, and it kind of sounds like the story of when the angels come to visit Lot. But he takes a concubine, she runs back to her daddy, she plays the harlot and runs back to her daddy, and she's gone for a month, so he loads up his man and his donkeys and he goes to see her. He stays with the father 5 days, he takes her and leaves and goes to another city. When the sun went down on him near Gilba, which belongs to Benjamin, is the loving men. And so he was in the square, and the old man come got him out the square, said, "I want you to stay in the square," because he knew it was the town of loving men. It was of the place of Ben jamming. So the old man got them off the street, washed their feet, they ate and drank. And as they were enjoying themselves, suddenly men of the city, certain men of perverted Belial, surrounded the house, beat on the door, and spoke to the master of the house. Old man saying, "Bring out the man who came to your house that we may know him." In all Kadavit, backwards, K-T-I-V-I-T, Kadavit. In all Kadavit, condone. That'd do it any which way. And the master of the house went out and said to them, "No, my brothers, not do this wicked thing, not to a man. Look, here's my daughter, virgin, and the man's concubine. Let me bring out now them and humble them and do them good as you please, but don't do this to a man, this vile a thing." And so it's easy to see what they're talking about there. Although there's only one word in here that I see that they properly interpreted. Oh, maybe a couple, who a toll of, paid the price, who a toll of, and abused her. And here's one, and fell down at the door of the house is what plopped, P-L-P-T, what plopped habit, habit, the habitat, what plopped habit, made it to the door and fell down. And so after they had their way with the concubine, the next morning, Master told her to get up. And she didn't get up, so he brought her in the house, and throwed her up on the donkey, made his way to his place. And then he took a knife to her and cut her limb by limb into 2 and 10 pieces, into 12 pieces, and sent her throughout all the territory of Israel. So it was that all who saw it and said, no deed has been done or seen at this from this day. Nobody seen nothing that came up the sons of Israel from the land of Egypt until the day this considerate of it confer and speak up. And so, pretty much every word is misinterpreted there. But this is actually a story about the commanding general bringing his army to pillage, and that's the word they give the concubine all through here. For himself, a concubine is an ass pillages. His concubine pillages too. And to the donkeys saddled, and his concubine was with him. This is the word they give for the Pharaoh's people, and is homo, and pillages to homo. And they come up to this city, Jebus. But, the Jebusites, they busy. They busy has it when a line be. That whorehouse was so busy, has it when a line be. And they got this Benjamin separated here, but this is where they always say is son, and Benjamin, the jam, is the day, and it's also the right hand, Benjamin. And so this daughter, virgin, and the man's concubine, is in a habit habitual of pillages and it's a habit to, when they're at the whorehouse, this old woman, this old biddy, she got a habitual of pillaging. She's stealing is what this story is actually about. And so if you look in the Greek across here, this word for virgin is now the Parthenos. And so the TH and the D gets mixed up in many languages. That's why some people say Theo is God and some people say Dio is God. And this is the pardon as. And so she's no virgin. She just got pardoned. We're going to let you off this time. And if you click on this word number, it'll show you where this word first comes up in Matthew 1:23. It's talking about the Virgin Mary was pardoned as. And so she was no virgin. She was habitual. And so this tells you to read this backwards. Would, W-O-D, and the hand, I-D, the hand of. Would the hand of he, pardon as been, the gastrate, it's they, E-T-S-E-Y, it's they, and then backwards, the hex, it's they hex, and the gastrate, it's they hex. 2, Vav 2, they hex 2, the test it 2, who annoy, via who, and then O-N, and backwards O-Y, who annoy 2. The call is of sin, the call is of sin 2, and then backwards a mono, a single name, of vot, of ought, what of ought, what of, and then backwards. And it's reading with this final, the U, will who on from. Will who on from them man of hell. The manual, the man of hell. Of nights, and I-T-S, of nights is stin. Of nights sestin. The meter, the time of much new of men on. The meter, charging for time, you're being metered of much new of men on. Mother Mary was no virgin, she was a whore that got knocked up. And so all you suicide bombers out there, you ain't getting none. The man of hell promised you 72 old whores. Habitual whores. And I don't mind the Christian values. I think most of them's pretty good. But you got no right to push your stupidity on anybody else. There's no Christian in the world that ever learned how to read his God's book. Y'all are almost as dumb as the Jews that recognize the letters and still can't read it. When you start putting words in God's mouth, you better look a little closer and see which God them words come from, because the Hebrew Bible talks about many gods. And so this burning heart you see on Mary all the time, this means desire, where your word Desiree come from. My heart burns for. Desiree, desire, to long for. So desire is not God, desire is the devil. The mother of Jesus is the devil. She's habitual desire. Cupid shot so many arrows in her she looked like a porcupine. I believe that's what that Aten behind that heart represents. The giving in the Hebrew, the Aten. The Aten, A-T-N, Aten, will give desire. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that I was wanting to get into that had nothing to do with this. But I was looking at the word vain and how it used to be used a lot, 1800s, and it kind of died out. Nobody's used it anymore. Vain is empty, devoid of real worth. Empty, without substance. Vain is somebody who stares in the mirror. And they've got it twisted around in this same chapter is what I was looking at. But this is the vain one here, O-N-E, the V-A-I-N-O-N-E, the vain one. And they have it here as, but there was no answer. But it just means the empty one. And they knew it was here, so they'll put this vain one somewhere else in here. It's up here in line 18, the vain-ish. The vanish is if you're vain, when your skin's gone, when you die, there's nothing left. You got no soul. You just totally vanish. When the skin's gone, you vanish. There's nothing there to you. You're empty inside. And that's the one but there is no one they put on there. But, that's the vanish. The vain one is the no one. And the vain one, is who yammer, who says a lie comey. He comes up with a lie. When like vain one, the wife he, is who fuck, to wife he, to match him up. All rummy comer, to drink all the liquor. Who come haze who like. Who come haze, taking a beating, who like it. You keep on beating them and they get to liking it, and you can't straighten them out like that no more. Who come the haze who like LM of come to his place. The ones who liking the beating, who like it, the haze who like will from, will 'em come to. And so back in the day, there was good intelligent men that knew how to read this, and they didn't believe in any God, but you didn't have to believe in a God to be a good man. The vain ones, they're the ones that are empty. That's the ones that tell me, how can you survive without believing in God? If there was no God, I would be out raping, pillaging, and plundering. That's the vain ones. That's your modern day Christians. It's all on outside. There's nothing inside. You're lacking. So I think this would be a fit finish for the vain one.
I am the Antichrist, and I approve of this message.
Good day.